After the 300-year waste wars, humanity succumbed to the All-Thing, and everyone was scarred with a number on their body. If it ever reached 0, the All-Thing dragged them into the abyss, just like Hina's mother was dragged in front of her own eyes. Her dying wish was for Hina to take the Dark Orb and find the legendary ace. After 5 years of traveling throughout the world, Licht appeared before her eyes, and the other girls ran away while calling him a creep. He introduced himself and he begged her for some of her chicken thighs, but she kicked him in the face and started running away. The man continued sprinting after her, wanting to feel a piece of those heavenly drumsticks, but got knocked into a tree so the real plot of the story can develop. The MILF apologizes for what Hina just endured and introduces herself as Nana. While giving her some food, Nana wondered why Hina traveled so far from her home country, and Hina reveals that she's been searching for a single person, wishing to find the reason her mother was taken away from her. Nana feels bad that no one's ever been there to teach her anything, so she goes on to reveal the rules of this world. Everyone is scarred with a number onto their body, and those with a lower number must obey the higher number holders. Additionally, their counts refer to something special. For Nana, the number 77 on her massive cannons represents the number of times a customer said her food was delicious. However, it goes down each time a customer calls her food disgusting, and once it reaches 0, the All-Thing sucks them to the abyss. After learning the rules, Hina realizes that her number refers to the number of miles she's walked. After all, she's traveled 441,000 miles. Licht begs her to explain it all again because he wanted to study that number deeply. But after he finished saying those words, a strange man appeared with a white star on his face, proclaiming to be the legendary ace. After she heard those words, Hina broke into tears and went along with the strange man. Inside his office, Hina struggled to reveal that she's been looking for him, but the man wanted to see her body count, saying he can add another one to it. Hina didn't like his cringy pun, so she tried changing the subject by showing him the mysterious orb her mother gave to her. Once all the soldiers laid eyes on it, the ace instantly slashed the couch she was sitting on, commanding her to hand over the legendary ballot. She tried refusing and showed him her number, claiming that people with lower numbers must obey those with the higher numbers. Hearing her words, he knocked her outside of the room and told her that he will use his military status to force her into a star stake, a duel where they bet their body counts, and defeated her, stealing her body count away. The man reveals that he'd been pretending to be an ace this entire time, and commands her to hand over her ballot before the All-Thing sucks her into the ground. But Licht appears to save her, saying he will take her place in this duel. The military leader thinks this match will be a joke after seeing his negative count, and slashes towards him with a flurry of attacks, knocking him backwards. He continues striking down towards him, but the men notice that something is off. It's impossible for a person to have a negative star count without being sent to the abyss, so they realize that he must be holding one of the legendary ballots. In an instant, he vanishes away from the sword, and promises to bring back Hina's 5 years of searching for her mother by restoring her count. While unsheathing his sword, it became clear that he was hiding the white star in his sword, and that he was the legendary ace she's been looking for. All of the enemies rush towards Licht with their sword, but before they could reach him, he disappears, and the ground quakes beneath them. He rushes with such speed that he appears invisible to the eye, and he destroys the entire field before delivering a devastating kick towards his opponent. His footsteps generate enough wind to send the man crashing into the wall, and Licht continues violating him until he forces him to give Hina her number back. His opponent tries to regain his footing and sends a barrage of sword strikes towards Licht, but not a single one of them lands, saying that he's too slow. With vanishing speed, Licht flashes towards his opponent and strikes him midair. Nana reveals to an old man that the only reason that Licht has earned a negative number over the years is due to the number of times he's been rejected. He leaps towards the sky, and Hina opens her eyes, thinking it's amazing that there's a person who can fly in this country. She believes he's truly the ace she's been looking for, and asks him if he's still hungry, saying that she will buy dinner for him. However, Licht says that she doesn't need to worry about repaying him for getting her count back, but she tells him that she doesn't care about any of that, and just wants him to stay safe, promising that she'll buy him food when they get back. Licht promises that he'll protect her and come back to have a meal with her, rushing towards the ground like a falling star. After winning the duel, the All-Thing surrounds him to take his number away, and grabs Hina by the legs, forcing them open so it can increase her body count. Licht asks her if she's alright, but she was glad to see that he was safe, crying because she was finally able to find the man her mother was talking about. Licht notices the soldiers watching him and changes his expression, stealing the orb away from her. His personality twists, and he tells her that he can finally afford a Ferrari with this money, so he doesn't need some ugly chick anymore. His body count is 5,700, so she should have seen it coming that he's a playboy. But rather than leaving her empty-handed, he says that he'll give her something in return, throwing her an old toy as a memorabilia. Hina wonders why her mom would ever tell her to find the ace if he was going to treat her this way, but Licht reveals that there are many aces, and he just wasn't the one she was looking for. With the sun setting, Hina heads back to town, and Nana wonders what happened to her and Licht, but she breaks down crying. He had taken the only thing Hina's mother left for her, and wonders what she should do from now on. Nana looks at the toy, and feels something off about its weight, telling Hina to hold on to this toy just for a little longer. The toy begins moving around and explodes, revealing the ballot inside. Owning a ballot is the worst offense in this country, Nana explains, so she's sure Licht was just trying to protect her. He had packed up and was ready to leave town, but Hina sprinted to try and catch up to him. His only way of protecting her was to pretend to steal the ballot and escape the nation, so when she finally saw him on the carriage, she screamed and begged for him to wait. But Licht told the driver to continue moving. Hina begs him to stop, because she's been looking for him her entire life. There wasn't anyone else in this cold world after her mother left, and she traveled years feeling lonely, especially when she saw how other kids shared every night with their parents. She was afraid that she would be this lonely forever, but when she finally met him and Nana, it was the first time in her life that she felt happiness again. All the moments of her laughing, she wants to share them with him, and calls him a liar for breaking his promise. She screamed the words "I hate you," and his number went to -1,000. After the sun finally set, a soldier appeared and saw she was hanging on to the ballot after all this time, but promised that he would keep her secret safe. In fact, he was here to thank her, because now he has finally located the ace, the most wanted inhuman being in this entire nation. The next day, a girl called Lynn discovers the news of the wanted Licht, but wants to hang out flyers to the rest of the village. She tries taking care of the village however she could, and based on the number of times she's helped others, her count rises. But there's two more special things that go rise up, her mini skirt and my oversized
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket.
Peel wonders why she's helping others if her number only increases when they need serious help, so he tells her to go back to doing something productive like finding the wanted criminal. As she continues walking around, she thinks it would be impossible finding someone with a dumb mask like that. But she lays her eyes on the pudding man and immediately tries taking his mask off. The pudding man says that this mask is completely different from Licht's because he made sure to change it since yesterday. Lynn realizes he's right and apologizes, but before she walks away,
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Pudding Man tells her that he's just wearing a mask because of how ugly he is, and shows her that he has been dumped by 1,000 girls. His only wish in life is to go on a single date before he passes away, so Peel begs her to help this man because it might actually increase her count for once. She tries offering her hand to Pudding Boy, and her count instantly increases. They spend the day drinking together, and eventually they make it onto a dangerous bridge. But Peel encourages them to just cross it already. Carefully, they take each step, but the bridge begins shaking, and Licht realizes this is the opportunity of a lifetime, so he clutches for some plot development. He notices that Peel is the best wingman in this entire world, and Licht sticks his long eggplant between the two melons. But the log underneath Lynn breaks, and Licht barely clutches to save her. She looks into his face and realizes she's finally met the demon slayer blacksmith of her dreams. After all that, Lynn wonders if she's done with this date. But Pudding Man begins crying because he doesn't want it to be his last date. So Peel encourages her to give him the best thing in this world, the lap pillow. Her count instantly goes up once more, but Peel hasn't had enough. He's the best Giga Chad wingman, so he tells Licht to begin groping her thighs, and her rank begins shooting up faster than Peel climaxing. After she experienced the greatest climax in her life, Peel thinks that she really is a bother, because the guy in front of her is the wanted criminal they've been looking for. She's glanced over the fact that he has a negative count, and realizes he must be a ballot holder, just like the person on the wanted poster. She uncovers his identity, but Licht manages to take her sword away, saying that he can give her a different kind of sword to penetrate her round shields. but Lin uses the power of anime thighs to nearly blow him out of existence. After countless kicks, however, Peel reveals that she's been giving him the best view. So every time she tries to launch a kick now, she realizes that her plot armor gives her a defense of -100, but is shocked to notice that he hasn't been scratched once by her kicks. However, Licht reveals that she's already inflicted fatal damage, because from the moment he met her, his heart was torn. That's a Giga Chad pickup line. Lin says that she can't live with a criminal, but wishes to have at least 3 kids and live a long life with him as a good father. After hearing about kids, however, Lick decided to go buy some milk, and left some pudding for Peel for being the greatest wingman. He tells her that she ended up exposing her plot for no reason, and Lin screams in agony. Meanwhile, Hina serves customers at Nana's store, but a lieutenant appears at one of her tables and asks her about Lick's location. She tells him that she ain't no snitch, so he restrains her and asks her one more time to reveal the truth. The lieutenant gets up, telling his soldiers to head west, and destroys her entire shop. After the debris began settling, Hina wondered how he was so powerful, and Nana revealed that this is the power of the ballot, and the lieutenant must be holding on to one of them. Back at Lin's village, Lin regrets not being able to catch Licht, and realizes that she'll never be able to get rid of her short skirt, so a man offers to help her. They continue running past a grocery store, and the girl runs faster than all of them to try selling her radish, but notices that Lin must be having an argument with her boyfriend. Everyone in town hears the words that she has a boyfriend and runs after her, but when she tries denying that accusation, Licht wonders why she would show him her plot if they weren't dating. With all the distraction, Licht manages to escape above her. On the other side of town, Hina begs Nana to help her find Licht before the officers do, but Nana tells her that they can't travel until they repair the carriage. Licht notices something is off about this town, because even with a wanted criminal running around, he notices how awfully peaceful the town is. Everyone circles around Lin for help, and even a mother begs Lin to name her daughter for her, but the father hopes she won't be wearing mini skirts like Lin when she grows up. The baker comes screaming, showing her that a kid was trying to steal once again. But Lin tries to protect him, saying she will force him to do volunteer work, and begs the man to reconsider. She promises the child that she can try to take care of him if he's hungry next time, and he begins crying. All the old people want massages from her, but she accidentally steps on a doll while walking back and tries repairing it. Peel suggests that she looks for Mr. Pudding before he gets away, but Lin says that she can't ignore what's important to people, and Licht finally realizes the source of peace in this village, so he jumps down and offers to repair the doll for the girl, handing it back to her fixed.
Pudding.
While they continue chasing after him, Licht noticed something was off, and tried to protect Lin from the spikes piercing from the ground. The commander appeared and stepped on the girl's toy, but even though Peel rushed to greet him, Lin was too worried about Licht's health. The soldiers surrounded her in a circle, and Lieutenant Jail told Licht to stop playing dead before he pierces him again. With his cover blown, he takes off his pudding outfit, and Lin climaxes after seeing how handsome he was. They begin slashing towards him, but even though he evades all the attacks, he tries saving Lin from getting caught in the crossfire, and blows all the soldiers away with his sword. Jail says he will handle him, but Licht prefers not to be manhandled. Lin tries stepping in the way, but Jail commands her to recite the mission bestowed upon them, so she uses this opportunity to teach us about the rules of the show. Ballots contain mysterious abilities that activate when a person holds on to them, and the military is the only ones legally allowed to carry them. Even so, Lick thinks this should be an easy fight. After all, a person with a count of 5,700 is much stronger than a person with a count of 900, so he encourages Jail to run away. However, Jail casts his abilities, and iron spikes pierce the ground to try and end Licht. He attempts to evade his attacks as he runs up the wall, but his spikes pierce his path. With no other options left, Licht vanishes away and begins moving at blinding speeds around Jail, so Licht uses this opportunity to escape by jumping. But Jail jumps faster than him and crushes him down with an iron pillar. Licht finds it odd that he's this powerful, but realizes that Jail must be hiding a higher number. Jail reveals that this is his conviction, to punish evil with his own hands. Pillars of steel begin to surround them, and he goes on to reveal his real number, 12,500. Licht realizes he might be in a lot of trouble, and Jail prepares to cast his iron fist once more. But Licht barely manages to parry it off his body. Lin wants to try and save him, but her plot was too big to fit in that gap. As Licht continued trying to hold off the giant fist, a smaller one flanked him from the side to crush his core. But he quickly regained footing and began moving faster than before. However, even with his new speed, he was too slow for Jail, and he used his ability to knock Licht's sword into the sky. Without a weapon, Jails prepares to spar with his hand-to-hand combat technique, but notices that Licht got in the same stance as him. Jail found an opening opportunity and threw him off balance after kicking him to the side. The sword finally fell into his grasp, but he decided to throw it back to Licht, saying that he's too slow already. Licht said his mom is slow. After being insulted, Licht decided to go all out and leaped into the sky to prepare his ultimate blow. However, Jail wasn't afraid and cast his iron fist at the sky since he's no longer able to dodge. Before Licht is about to land, Jail launches a devastating blow to crush his confidence, and restrains him with his iron. Licht begs 12 to let him go, but Jail promises he won't, not until he snitches on all his homies. So Licht says that Lin's plot armor was white, and the entire village agrees. Jail thinks everything's a mystery about this man, but wonders how he's a part of the military. After sparring against him, he noticed his martial arts were the special techniques taught only to the supreme soldiers. The military had spent countless resources on his capture, but Jail thinks he's pathetic with a mere 5,700 count. Licht refuses to snitch on the homies, saying he's not an op, so Jail summons a whip to squeeze the information out of him like 6ix9ine. As he casted his whip, however, Lin shielded Licht from the blow, and said that he's not as bad as he may seem. He's been helping her all along. But Jail says he's heard about her attempts to build a park for the kids, and thinks her efforts are worthless. Just because the town is peaceful doesn't mean she can neglect her duties, and calls her useless. Lin tears up, saying that her superior is right and will apologize, but Licht tells her not to apologize. He tells Jail that he hasn't cut his iron because he didn't want to damage Lin's town, and after destroying the cuffs, Jail realizes that Licht must have been hiding his true count this entire time. He prepares to unleash his true power, and rushes forward with his fist. The energy emanating from their clash destroys the entire earth beneath them, and Licht yells that Lin isn't being lazy because the town is peaceful. It's the opposite. The town is peaceful only because she isn't lazy, so he commands Jail to apologize to her. The cliff begins falling apart, and Lin falls down amidst the chaos. Jail rushes with all his speed towards her, but Licht flashes forward 10 times faster and manages to clutch onto Lin. He tells her that she's fat as and begs her to go on keto, but she says she hates him, and his count decreases once more. Jail manages to catch up to them, and Licht throws Lin towards him so he can save her. This was his opportunity for retaliation, but he decides to just leap back up towards the village and bring Lin to safety. He tells her to get the fuck off him because she's a fat ass bitch. He sees the flyer that Lin's been working on, and understands Licht's words now, so with his powers, he creates a playground from his steel. He tells Lin that those foundations will only last while he's around, so he's going to give her 3 days to plaster the foundations before they head after Licht together. His number goes down after betraying one of his convictions, but he wonders what that man's true strength is. The girl comes to hand him her toy for fixing, so he creates a screwdriver and spends the rest of the day trying to help her out. A week later, Licht began running out of food, but Hina finally found him. Using all 3 of his brain cells, he began chirping like a crow, but Hina grabbed him and said the only reason he's wearing that beak is to overcompensate for his persuasion. She told him to stop already, and took off his mask, saying she would never mistake him for anyone else. Nana calls them over so they can enjoy food, and they begin talking about God knows what. I don't know why it's so hard writing something about this. Diggity. Hina is distracted by Licht's sword, but Licht thinks he's finally ready to drink some milk. Nana punches him away, saying he needs to work if he wants to get some money, so he should gather some firewood with Hina. They began gathering the firewood together, but Hina called him a liar for breaking his promise to her. However, she shows him the lunch she's packed for him so they could keep their promise. Licht tries apologizing for his actions, but she thinks this is sort of like a date. He might have been looking for different cherries to pop while she wasn't around. But Hina doesn't care because she's at least gotten to see him. As she finished her sentence, a plane came flying from above, and a red-haired girl tried her hardest to make it fly. Licht noticed she was headed directly to a ravine. Just when she thought she was finally flying, the plane nosedived straight down, so Lick jumped off the cliff to grab her and leapt off the plane just before they crashed. When Hina ran to see if they were okay, the red-haired girl jumped on top of him and wondered if he could fly. She investigated his second beak, but he told her that if she can't ride a plane, she could ride him instead. Lick climaxes, and she sees that the post-nut clarity has sent him into a different dimension, so she picks him up and begins dragging him away. Hina tells her to wait, so the girl introduces herself as Pelmo, saying she feels like she can achieve her dreams with them. Inside her hut, she shows them her 9th prototype, saying that this will be her best attempt yet. Throughout her life, her only dream was to fly in the air, and thinks it will improve everyone's lives when people gain the ability to fly. She wishes it would just work once, so Licht heads over to look at her blueprints, and spots the mistakes she's been making. Research into flight is forbidden in this nation, and the penalty is death. Still, Pelmo thinks that some dreams are worth dying for, because without dreams, living on would be pointless. Lick thinks she might be right, so he decides to take the ink pen and fix her blueprints. She sees the shape and thinks it would finally solve all of her mistakes, so she kicks them out. And while they waited, Licht wondered if he truly did the right thing. Hina thinks that he definitely did the right thing, but she blushes away, and Licht feels the bone of his sword hardening. She wonders what his dream might be, asking him why he's been traveling all this time. It's a secret, he tells her, and begins rolling around before grabbing onto her hand, saying he will reveal his goal to her. He wants to use his beak to penetrate the deepest part of her defenses. Who the f*** raised this guy? Hina climaxes, but Pelmo tells them it's complete and wonders if she just interrupted them. The plane was finally ready, and promises that she'll be able to fly it this time. In the distance, Licht spots an army advancing towards her, and Pelmo realizes that she's finally been uncovered. Licht draws his sword and prepares to face off against the army, but in the last second, he slashes her plane down to destroy it. Pelmo thinks she understands, and the soldiers come to inform her that they've heard of flight testing. However, she shows them the debris, claiming she was just trying to fix her old windmill. After the soldiers left, Pelmo knew she'd be executed even if her plane worked, because the witnesses would hunt her down for the rest of her life. Lick thought this would be the safest option because she can always try again, and Hina said she would stay by her side until she finally made it. But as nice as those words were, Pelmo revealed that she would never be able to try again, and her count dropped to 0. Her count was based on how many times she achieved her dreams, and since it started at 10, she has failed every single attempt. Until this last one. She tells them not to worry, and Hina begs someone to help her, remembering the day when her mother was sucked away. Hina tried running to save Pelmo, but the hands knocked her away. They continued rushing forward towards Licht, and although he managed to parry them off, a mysterious electricity shocked his body, and memories began flooding into his brain. Hina begged for someone to help her, but she told them not to cry. Getting sent to the abyss isn't guaranteed death, so she's sure that she's going to a different world instead. And in that world, she promises that she will make sure her dream comes true, and feels like she'll be able to meet them once more. She bids them farewell, and the all thing disappears. Hina collapses, but promises that she will meet her again one day. Lick collapsed next to her, and she looked into his eye, seeing a count of 001 engraved inside. The following morning, Licht sees Hina hanging onto him, and remembers feeling powerless to save Pelmo before she was sucked away. All he's ever been able to accomplish was clean up after someone else's dream. Hina eventually woke up and saw that Licht had disappeared. But after looking around the tent, she found him washing his face. Inside the town, the yearly festival was being held, but Licht was the only one with a gloomy expression on his face. She tells him to cheer up already, so he tells her he's cheerful and begins trying to develop plot in the middle of town. Lynn screams that she's finally found him, and wishes to thank him, so she seduces him by locking him up, saying she's ready for some kinky role play. Hina wonders who this girl is, and Lynn goes on to introduce herself, saying they dated back in her town. Hina introduces herself back and says they've been traveling together while he looks up at her skirt. Licht knows he's about to deal with one massive headache, so he begins bolting away. But MILF Milkers comes to destroy every last bit of his hopes. She laughs it off, thinking this dynamic looks like the start of an H anime, but she's developed a contest to solve all their issues. They will be having a Gordon Ramsay style cook-off, and they've tied down their hostage so they can feed him any type of food they can think of. Both of them get into their attire, and Lynn scours the town for fresh vegetables. The merchant thinks it's admirable how much of a cute wife she is, and begins sweet-talking her to buy more of his products because he's a real hustler. At the same time, Hina gathers wild mushrooms, and a giant bear begins rushing towards her, but it had fallen for her trap, and the poor bear realizes it's over for him. Lin is already onto preparing the stew, and Nana begins having her own fanfic of how their life will go.
お帰りなさいあなた。ご飯にする？お風呂にする？それとも、あたし？
Not gonna lie, that shit made me hard. I'm not gonna lie, I just got it, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Tina comes back with the bear and boar's body. She dissects the body in front of everyone, and the entire town is shocked by her abilities. What the f*** is this bitch doing? Lin's meal is ready, and she presents it to her husband.
別にあんたのために作ったんじゃないんだから。
Why the f*** you lying? Why you always lying?
Lick tastes the food.
Fucking hell.
He tells her it tasted worse than his last salty biscuit game. But the only thing she wants is for him to salty biscuit her face. The men are impressed that his compliments worked, but Hina isn't out of the running yet, and she presents him with her dinner. He thinks this looks straight out of Jeffrey Dahmer's basement, so he takes a bite. It's disgusting, he says, but Peel wants to take a taste and thinks it's the best texture he's ever felt in his life. She's glad that her food was finally able to put a smile on his face, and he thanks her for preparing such a delicious meal. However, the contest isn't over, and Nana goes on to make him pick the winner. He stares at both of them and realizes that neither of them have tasted his meat yet, but Jail comes to interrupt the festivities. He wonders why Lin is dressing like a useless maid instead of arresting him, but Lick shows him that he's already been restrained, but will be making his leave now. Jail prepares to fight against him, and his spikes destroy the entire city's flooring. Lick draws his unreasonably long sword because he's overcompensating for something. He rushes towards Jail, and evades every single one of the spikes rushing towards him. Jail smashes his fist into the ground, and wonders why Licht was holding back his real power during their last duel. He pushes him backwards and rushes towards Licht, but destroys the fountain behind him instead. As he launched an uppercut straight towards Licht, he stopped himself in the last instant since Licht hadn't been evading. Nana yells at them to stop since Athiev destroyed the entire city, and tells them to clean up their mess. Both of them put their weapons away. After they fixed the flooring, Jail and Licht enjoyed dinner together. On his way to find Licht, Jail had stumbled upon a town that had been ravaged, and all of the villagers had already been annihilated. Peel located a giant void where a lake used to be, and a survivor struggles to walk towards them. He tells them that on a peaceful day in the village, their lake was replaced with a giant hole, and from the depths of it, a giant green demon with 6 wings started flying and began raining bullets of fire towards them. Jail thinks it's more likely that it was a ballot holder responsible for the damage, and wonders what type of ballot holder would be able to fly, but realizes that he knows a single man who could be capable of flight. Back in the present, Lick tries handing Jail a drink, but Jail tells him that he doesn't have time for games. His iron activates once more, and he points a spear directly into Lick's eyes, informing him of the town that was destroyed. The one responsible was a demon of the abyss, and Jail knows that Lick can't fly, but he knows that he must have valuable information. Nana suggests they try to drink some apple cider vinegar so they can have a conversation at ease, which gives Jail a genius idea. He places all of his life savings on the table, and orders every bit of PG grape juice she has. Lick calls him a perv for trying to make him drink it, but Jail is more shocked with Lin's outfit. Their bottle downing game begins, and Jail tries prying information out of him, but Lick tells him to drink faster, so they decide to down the bottles first. Their anger grows faster than a Karen asking to see the manager, and the girls wonder if this was truly the best approach. However, Nana is enjoying all this business and thinks she might just give them a special service for all their money. She stuck the long bottle down her throat and drank all the liquid. Meanwhile, the grape juice starts messing with Lin's thoughts, and she realizes that she won't be the best girl of this show, but was at least glad to have experienced all those moments with Licht. Still, she has pent-up desires building up inside of her, so she swears that she won't lose against Hina. At the same time, the two men begin sticking their bottles down each other's mouths and drinking all the liquid until they pass out from how sus their actions were. The girls only care about one of them, and they fight over whose lap he's going to rest in. The only thing Nana cares about is her business, so she pours some bottled up piss into his mouth. But after he pushed her off, the ground began quaking, and Peel revealed that a giant hole appeared in this town as well. When Jail arrived at the scene, the survivor screamed that everyone was about to be annihilated, so Jail rushed to make everyone evacuate. Licht realizes he's heard this noise before, and tells Jail to force everyone to retreat. Jail realizes that Licht must know something after all, and the demon begins appearing from the abyss. Licht stares with tearful eyes, wondering how those things were still able to fly after the Waste Wars. The giant helicopter takes aim and begins firing down, but Jail attempts to defend the villagers from its blows before it appears to evacuate. However, it begins flanking them from the back and fires a missile towards Jail. In the last possible moment, he had put up a barrier to defend them, and Licht commands everyone to evacuate immediately. But Jail says that he has no right to take command. However, Licht reveals his military ranking, and says he will be taking command as a colonel. The helicopter swerves back once more and begins firing towards Licht, but he evades every one of the attacks as he rushes towards the helicopter. It launches a missile towards the ground, but Licht goes on to slash it down and rushes towards the sky. He bounces off the pillar to try launching higher, but the All-Thing arms begin to surround him and knock him toward the ground. They attempt to reach towards the helicopter, but with the height limit, the helicopter flies above all of them as it continues firing towards the ground. Licht attempts to jump off the pillars once more, but the All-Thing prevents him from getting closer. He attacks one of them, however, the same mysterious electricity shocks his body. Hina begs them to assist Licht, but Jail reveals that it would be impossible because the military would be executed if they were to attack the All-Thing. As Licht continued enduring the pain to slash against the Abyss arms, it knocked him into the ground. Hina begged someone to help him because all he's trying to do is save others, so Jail takes off his glasses and asks Lin where he might have put them. She tells him that she has no idea what he's talking about, and he goes on to say that he can't see a thing without his glasses, and casts a pillar straight towards the arms. He casts 3 more iron pillars towards the All-Thing, saying he doesn't know if he's breaking the law since he can't see a thing. Lin says her eyesight suddenly got worse too, and launches an attack towards the All-Thing, inspiring the rest of the army to take her lead. Licht sees the opportunity they've created for him, so he rushes forward to slash at the helicopter. But what his eyes see shock every bone of his body. A rain of bullets comes from above, sending the helicopter crashing into the abyss, and a white female appears from above, vanishing to point a gun at the back of his head. Licht recognizes her as Sona, and one of them fires directly at Jail's abdomen, leaving him to fall lifelessly towards the ground. The girl introduces herself as the Ace of Pursuit, and begs everyone to forget about everything, but thinks that she doesn't trust anyone after all, so she begins firing to end every person in this town. Licht leaps towards her, but Sona grabs him from the back, saying she's missed him after all these years. He begs her to stop because what she's doing is wrong, and she tells him that she will always obey his order from the past, the order to end everyone in his way. She tells him to watch because she's finally built the courage to pull the trigger, and pushes him down, firing at the people. Licht screams at her to stop and attempts to evade her bullets, but notices how they weave around his sword to strike him down. This is her special ability, the power for her bullets to continue following the target no matter how many times he may try evading. The bullets strike towards the ground, crushing his spine. Hina rushes to try and save him, but the soldiers restrain her and pin Nana down. All of his friends have been subdued, and Sona wonders what he's going to do about his friends, saying that if he wants to save them, all he has to do is go back to the Rahido senpai he used to be. One of the commanders point their weapon at a child, and she begs him to go back to his old ways if he wants to save the child. She wonders what color flower he would create if the kid was shot, wondering how bright and pretty it might look. His only solution is to go back to his old ways, and she wonders if it's becoming harder and harder for him to hold back. But Licht tries to comfort the child, saying he will save him. He promises that he will definitely save him as all of his friends watch, but the kid begins crying for his mother. Sona tells him not to make promises that he can't keep, and commands the soldier to do it before flying away. The trigger is pulled, but when Sona looks back, none of the soldiers remain standing. The ones guarding his friends vanish without a trace, and Licht says that he told her to stop, and promises to end her just as she had wished. Nana begs him to stop, but he tells her to be quiet. The soldier warns him that he will fire at Hina, so Licht goes on to remind Hina about the time she asked him about his goal, and remembers when Jail asked him who he truly was, so he goes on to finally reveal it. He walks past Hina, obliterating the soldier pinning her down, saying that his goal is to take everything from this nation. Sona was excited to see the mask of the commander she's been longing to see, and begged him to end her now. Licht reminded her to say the 2 words needed for 2 aces to fight, so Sona said she will bet all of her stars. And Licht agreed to bet all of his. The all thing began coming from the ground to surround them, and Sona began firing towards Licht. He leaped towards her and continued trying to pierce through her bullet storm. But as he struggled, Hina noticed that Sona's count was 32,000, much higher than Licht's. Her bullets finally pierced his armor and sent him crashing against the building. Hina was ready to run to save him, but Peel told her to calm down. Ever since his fight with Jail, he noticed that something was odd. He was fighting a man with double his count, yet Licht still managed to hold him off, so he must be hiding his true powers. Licht sees the tomato sauce covering his hand, and draws it on his face. After standing up, he unleashes his true power, and a red aura emanates to the heavens. His count skyrockets, and Nana explains that this is the real power hidden within an ace, allowing his count to go all the way up to 57,000. This was the pure bloodlust Sona had been seeking, but as she was ready to fire, she noticed he had disappeared, and began quaking in fear. Every single time she turns around, she realizes he isn't anywhere to be seen. Still, she thinks her bullets will continue following him, but sees her bullets being deflected by pure wind. He flashes behind her and begins speeding towards her relentlessly. Nana screams at everyone to get away from him, and as he continues powering up, his aura begins to turn into a purple hue. This was the secret personality hidden within him, and it is only released by the intent to kill by Schmerman. He leaps towards Sona to annihilate her, and none of her bullets are even capable of leaving a scratch. With all his power, he slashes towards Sona, sending her crashing into the building. Her count begins falling all the way to 16,000. And Nana reveals that she was also under the control of a personality. She struggles to wake up, and is shocked to see the weapons surrounding her. She was one of the weakest people that never fired at anyone until the end of the war, Nana reveals. Licht tells her to quit being a useless 4 eyes as always, but Lin tries preventing him from attacking. However, Licht asks them if they're his enemies, saying he will eliminate anyone who is his enemy. The only thing that overflows his mind is the desire to annihilate his enemies, but Hina runs to hug him, begging him to return back to his old self. He thinks that she must be another enemy, but before he was able to end her, Sona fired at him and told him she was the real enemy. Licht dropped Hina and began walking towards Sona, and as he picked her up and was ready to end her, Sona wished he would touch her once more like he used to in high school. As he slashed down, Jail appeared to prevent him from ending her. Licht wondered if this man was his enemy, and slashed down towards him, but a golden light blinded all of them. The shockwave of the attack sends Jail falling down, and as Licht attempted slashing down towards him, Jail blocked him with a single iron from his finger. This iron is his conviction, Jail stated, and since Licht lacked conviction, he told Licht that he will never be able to pierce through it, and sent an iron pillar to crush him down. Licht struggles to get up, saying his war won't be over until every single enemy is eliminated, because then he will be able to save the rest. Jail thinks his words are admirable, and pledges to follow his convictions and treat his opponent with the respect he deserves. So he takes out a glove and wears it, revealing his true power. Licht tries rushing forward and attempts to parry against the Iron God, slashing the axe away. He rushes closer, and manages to fend off all of Jail's attacks, but with a powerful swing, he shoots Licht into the air and crushes him down. He kicked Licht's mask off and asked him if he was awake. All of his friends began running towards him, and Licht apologized for scaring them. Sona came to apologize, but Jail spat tomato sauce after eating too much pasta and collapsed. Hina was glad that her man was back. A week later, the All Thing is trying to drag Lin to an H anime, and Licht apologizes that he can't stop the star stake since he doesn't want to end Sona. Nana thinks it'll go away eventually, but Licht would rather let it stay forever. The All Thing begins developing the real plot of this story, and thinks it wants some of Hina as well. But since there's no plot to be developed there, it limps and runs away to develop some real plot with Sona. Jail enters the room to interrupt the plot development, saying he is here to eliminate Licht for attacking the All Thing. However, Nana tells him to stop being ridiculous for trying to follow orders and eliminate the single man who tried to protect others. Jail comes to his senses, and Nana is glad to have found the single man who has stood up to him in the last 300 years. So to thank him, along with everyone in this room for believing in him, she goes on to show them the secret she has hidden up her sleeve, and reveals her ace status with the white star on her face. She warns them that this is not a dream, because if they unalive in this world, they will unalive in the real world, and sends them 300 years into the past, in front of a high school, where they see Licht when he was a teenager.